How is everyone? Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Hello. How are you guys? Welcome. Welcome. We are super excited.
Say hi.
Whoops. What did I got? Backlash there? Okay. How are you guys? Linda, say hi.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Linda's there too. Her hands. She's just got a hand view today. So there we go. But we can see your face in that beautiful picture that you have right there.
That's my daughter and myself. That's Amanda.
I can't wait. I can't wait to hear more about it, what you're going to be scrapbooking today. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Okay, so first off, we have a few of you guys joining us from the Kiwi Lane communities, so over on Zoom. And so I'll keep an eye on those comments. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate, let us know. And then, of course, over there are some people joining us from Linda's Facebook page as well. And if you have any questions, definitely throw it in the Facebook over there. So we're super excited. So we decided to come together and to do a special live event where we're just going to go through the whole play to create process for scrapbooking from start to finish. And then we're going to start with designing, tracing, cutting, inking, replacing. What is so fun about this event is that we're going to narrow in and use the same exact designer templates and the same exact paper. And we are going to finish pretty much different pages. And you're going to see that. I am so confident that that's going to be the result. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to be, because I love that about these designer templates is that they are great building blocks and designing tools. But then as you as the designer, it shifts, it changes. So not only does your page change when you change the paper, it even changes when you use the same paper. And so me and Linda are going to be using the same paper from Carta Bella, which we picked up over at our friends at Scrap Mania. So if you love this paper, definitely make sure to connect with them, and we'll share some other products. And of course, if you love the designer templates that we're using, I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat if you don't have them already. And Linda's going to throw it in the chat as well on her end.
So I only have the coupon code, Susan, because Lee's got it on his phone.
Okay. Well, then maybe I'll go over there. And Lee went into his meeting, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you see it on Facebook already, the live?
I see you on live. Yes. We got about 11 watching.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, then let me throw that in the chat really fast, guys, so that everybody has that. I'll pin it and you will have that. So we are going to be using, actually, I'm going to flip to your downward view, Linda.
Okay.
So that you can show us again what templates we're going to be using.
Sure, I can do that. You just let me know when you're ready. My video froze up on the computer, but I'm sure it'll come back.
Okay, there we go.
All right. So we are using the Farmhouse Summer. We're using a few little papers. 4, I think, actually. This one here called Fresh Picks. And then this one, it's called Farmhouse Plaid. And then this one, Farmhouse Garden. And finally this one, which is Farmhouses. So that's the paper by Carta Bella. And then the template. This is really where your layout is going to shine. So Kiwi Lane has 4 different placemats that they came out with. This is actually placemat number 1. As you can see, there's a place for your photos. You can use this for a title, or you can just make a ribbon, whatever your desire is. But here, did you guys notice this? I'm going to use that. That is a corner. So like the old-fashioned little black and white things that you licked and glued and stuck on your paper and you put your picture in it. Well, this is kind of similar to the same thing, but they gave that to you. Okay, so that's that one. And then Nature Walk. Like Susan said, Nature Walk is probably, right now, it is so versatile. You can use it on anything, and it goes good with anything, other templates too. So there are 10 pieces, and I'm not going to lose it like I did last night. All right. So you have a border set that mate together just like every other border. And then you get this nice little piece that you can use for journaling, or you can use it as a tucking piece. You get a little pot. You get a ribbon. There are 2 flower sizes, very nice, and different shapes. You get a little butterfly, and you get 2 leaves, or you can use this one actually as a feather. So that is Nature Walk. And there is a special, like Susan said. So you guys make sure that you check out the link. She's going to try and get it in. Let's see. I'm frozen right now. So, okay. This is the photo templates. The main photo templates go from 3x4 all the way up to 5x7. The mini photos go 2x2 all the way up to 3.5 by 3.5. Okay. Uh-oh. It said it ended. Whoa, that's not good. Shoot.
I'm looking into it. Let me see.
Okay, I just refreshed.
Still in,
Let me go back here. Here we go. Okay, it come back.
you're still there on my screen.
Okay. All right. You there, Susan?
Yeah, I'm here. So just make sure it's
Woo!
up on Facebook because we're broadcasting over there too for you. So
All
yeah.
right. So the mini photos, 2x2 all the way up to 3.5 by 3.5. And then the creme de creme of them, they have photo mats. Photo mats give you a 1/4 inch of your mat all the way around. And these go from 3.5 by 4.5. And then the largest is 5.5 by 7.5. Okay, so that's the template. Back to you, Susan.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think all the links are in the comments, so definitely refer to that. We will be talking more about these products and making sure that we can see each other side by side as we create our pages using those products that Linda just shared with us. Okay. Everybody see the side by side? Can you see that? Sometimes it
Yeah.
can be tricky, so I want to make sure that it's pulling up.
Oh,
Okay.
and Susan, that the voice that we heard earlier, that is Madison from Echo Park. He just popped on and he says, hello, everyone. He's on Facebook.
Oh, hello. How are you? Interesting. I'll just kind of go there. I have always loved Carta Bella's and Echo Park's paper. I really do. I love the texture of it. I think they still keep the quality of their paper, which is really refreshing, right? I know a lot of people comment about that with Kiwi Lane's paper. And as a scrapbooker myself, I do love, I don't know, it's just something so satisfying when it's in your hands and you're creating with it. And they always have these paper packs too that go with their collections. So I wanted to point that out because they'll be using a little bit of this for our backgrounds. And I think you said you're using something else, Linda, for your background.
It's Simple Stories cornflower. Sorry,
Okay.
Madison.
A little mixing matching. We love paper, it doesn't matter what it is. But this homemade does coordinate well, I'm assuming, with the homemade collection and also this Farmhouse Summer that we're utilizing. So you guys might have this in your stash. Let's pull it out and let's finish some pages and transform this paper into some beautiful pages. But I do love how they have these solids to also go along with when you're specifically using that Kiwi Lane formula that we talk about here, having those blenders to kind of smooth out and, you know, really accentuate those patterns that we love so much and fall in love with so much in our the papers, these patterns here. And it's really nice to have these like blenders and these soft tones. And so these other additional packs with those really are nice because they are already coordinated. And so, which is great. And then another little tidbit, and then we're going to jump right into it. I had this out on my table and I was sending a picture to Linda. We were going back and forth before this event. And my daughter, Abigail, she had served a mission over in Italy. And so, of course, she spent almost 2 years there and just fell in love with Italy. And she looks down and she's not like, you know, in the no-no of all the scrapbooking. She's like, oh, Carta Bella. And she's like, Mom, do you know what that means? And I was like, no, I just always heard Carta Bella, which honestly I never knew. And she was like, it's Italian. And I was like, that's Italian? And she's like, yeah, it means beautiful paper. Now, of course, I love it even more. So Carta Bella, Carta Bella. Do you say it with an accent?
Carta Bella.
Carta Bella. Say it louder.
Carta Bella.
She did it with the hand too, guys. She did it with the hand too. Carta Bella. I can't do it. Oh, American. But she lived over there and learned the language. And so, yeah. She's got a special place in her heart. All right. So I mentioned those because I do want to kind of soften my background. And so here's the first step. You guys, if you've been around Kiwi Lane for a long time, we hope that you leave with a few ideas of your own, that you're just joining us to create along with us, whatever that is, welcome. If you are new to Kiwi Lane, then what we want to share with you is the nature walk set. And Linda's going to go ahead and start designing hers while I'm chatting, and I'll get caught up with her, I'm sure, eventually. But what Linda's doing right now is she's, instead of looking at a blank page, which often as scrapbookers, we can find ourselves doing that, right? Whether that's because we're in a creative block, it's been a long day, we're too much in our head, overthinking things. Here's the beauty of allowing yourself to literally play to create a scrapbooking page, is because one, you get out of your head, you get the visual aid, and what happens is that the inspiration and ideas start to spark naturally. It doesn't even matter if you're following a sketch or other ideas. What happens is if you can get started, right, which Linda's already, look at her, she's already going too fast. I better pick it up a speed because she's already got a lot of her page designed in that with using these templates, these few designer templates. So it's so much great. It's so powerful to be able to do that. And so what you're going to do, of course, naturally, is you're going to figure out what paper you want to scrapbook with. We just told you what paper we're going to do. What pictures are you going to scrapbook with? I went ahead and printed off some pictures, right? And now I'm going to put those to the side. So all of those parts of those processes, that creative process in order to sit down to scrapbook, are definitely still there. But then we want to narrow in maybe on some designer templates, which is why we chose only a few sets. So again, we're using Nature Walk, which includes the border and accessories. It's really great. I hate to call them starter sets because if you've been, I've used it all the time, and I've been using Kiwi Lane process for a long time. But if you are new to Kiwi Lane, this is one that we highly recommend, are these scrapbooking template kits, and you'll see why as we go along. And then placemats, and then I use photos pretty much on every page. And again, you'll see that as we go along, and you can see, Linda, you're already there. You're already done. Look at you.
Not yet.
Not yet. Now, then of course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my paper and my pictures that I decided that, you know what, I want to scrapbook these. I'm in the mood to scrapbook them. They work with these papers clearly. And then I just pull out my backgrounds, and I'm just going to focus on my background. Well, on the designer templates in my background. Okay. And so you kind of just take one decision at a time. So I think for me, I'm actually going to use this as my background from that paper stack, this collection that I was telling you, that also are really great for backgrounds. I just don't think the templates show up as well. So I'm going to, for the case of the live event, use this background. All right. So I'm going to see if I can get caught up with Linda here. But basically, again, what we're doing is we're just playing. We're just playing with the designer templates. We're using these as a design block to see what we can come up with. And our borders, again, we'll share more of this as we go along as far as how to trace them and cut them. But if you just allow yourself to come up with, I don't know, just take like 5 or 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes even, and just play with the design. Don't think about anything else per se. Like, don't get overwhelmed with, oh, well, what about this? What about that? I promise it usually works itself into the creative process, but you really just want to get started. Now, we did mention that today only, so this is only valid till the end of April 9th, so 11:59 Mountain Standard Time. The coupon that is in the comments, if you love these sets that we're creating with, and then make sure to check it out, but use the coupon that we also put in the comments, because that will get you a free digital idea book. Now I went ahead or printed this off. This is all I did, just using Nature Walk. So you can see with just the one set, what many layouts can be accomplished. And honestly, if you don't want to free play like Linda's kind of doing right now with her designer templates, you can also use that sketch, one of these sketches, and then also use the designing tools to help you to lay that out again as that visual tactile resource at your disposal. Okay, so those are all available, lots more pages. I won't go through all of them, but make sure to use the coupon in the comments, okay? So you can see here at Kiwi Lane, we want to help you finish some pages, and we want to remove as many roadblocks as you possibly can. And honestly, staring at an empty page, not knowing where to get started is a huge roadblock. And so what you want to do is use these tools to help you to overcome that. Okay. And so you can see really basic frames. Not everything has to be like completely out of the box or ordinary. I mean, as long as you're really enjoying the process and having fun, like that's what our hobby's about, right? Now, I will say I do love to have confidence that I'm like, and fulfilled with my finished page. So yes, you can create a beautiful page. Yes, you can incorporate other supplies. Yes, you can use up your paper stash. Like it's really freeing to be able to do that. And you can use any paper, any brand of paper that you love. You know what, we understand the addiction to paper as scrapbookers ourselves. We really, really do. So you can see right away that you can create a frame, as we say, here at Kiwi Lane for your photos. And then of course, with the photo templates, you can lay those out in different positionings. You know, you can assortments, sizes, and just kind of see what works for you. Now, I do have certain pictures that of course I need to accomplish. And that is a variable, of course, with everybody's different pictures and memories that we're scrapbooking. We're not scrapbooking the same pictures. We may be inspired by the same design elements or a sketch or a page that we liked, but the pictures are really where it, of course, will shift and it will adjust and you will have to evolve, right? And so you kind of see that. Okay, so Lori says I don't have the down view. Do I not have the down view pinned for everybody?
I see it now. I see it.
Hold on, I'll just pin mine for a minute and then go back to Linda. You guys let me know if that happens. Sometimes it does happen and I always hate when like time goes by and I'm like, what? How did I not know that was happening? So, yes. Okay, there's Linda.
I'm just answering some comments here. They wanted to know what the background paper was that I was using, and it is Simple Stories Cornflower. It's really matches the blue well in the collection. It's just a little bit darker. So for me, when I pick my background sheets, sometimes if I don't have enough of the collection and I have to use my own stash, I go a shade darker or a shade lighter, because the reality is that you will never get it to match perfectly because they're two different companies. So sometimes you get real close. Like this, this one is really close, but it's a tad darker. Let me put a piece of it here.
Which you're just pulling from your stash or whatever. Oh, you pulled it from, oh, it's still Carta Bella. It's just a different collection. Okay.
No, the background is Simple Stories.
Oh, Simple Stories.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you see, this is the collection, and I was looking at the small dots on there, and it's a little bit darker, but it's kind of in the same hue family. So by going a little darker or a little lighter, then I don't have to worry about matching it exactly and it not looking correctly. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I just pulled out some from the same collection of Carta Bella, but yes.
Yes.
Anyway. All right.
So are we ready to start tracing?
Okay, you go ahead and start tracing. I'll keep going.
Okay.
Lori says she's still not seeing the views. Is anybody else having that issue? She doesn't see the down view. So I just
maybe go back out and
her.
come back in.
I can see it. It's showing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Lori, I'll try doing one for a moment and then bounce back to Linda, but we'll want to do side by side. I don't know on the phone if it does that as, okay, perfect. All right, guys, so the photos, I just want to take like just a few minutes to kind of zero in on that because you'll see here that I did print some 3x4s to a 4x4, so I have technically two 3x4s that I haven't trimmed up yet, but the sizes will vary, right? And so using the photo template sets, which is just so powerful as well, is really great because you can really plan, well, customize for your needs. So usually when I hit this phase, a lot of times if I know I have a good amount of pictures, like so I have 4 3x4s because I happen to print those smaller. Actually, I have more.
Susan, all I see is you right now.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do this again.
Tracy Alden says she sees both.
There we go.
Oh, there we are. Okay, so I just finished tracing the placemat on this piece right here. And I'm using the Kuru Toga pencil. This is a great tool because for one, it always self-sharpens itself. And number two, it has a diamond in the lead so it doesn't break as easy. The only time it will break is when it gets close to the end. And the best part of it, it does not leave that dust, the ink dust around your templates. For me, I'm a little OCD about that, so I end up cleaning everything. But with this, I don't have to do that. And it's a Kuru Toga, and you can get it right here at Scrap Mania.
I do it. Linda introduced me to that pencil, and I will say it's pretty fantastic. I was like, a pencil, Linda, calm down. I was like, oh, I see what you're saying. It's kind of like smooth like butter, and it doesn't chip as much if you're using like I have these cheap mechanical pencils, but I will say they do always like you just have to press it just the wrong way, right? So actually, when you first introduced me to it, and of course I got it, and my daughter who's she sketches, and my husband also sketches maps and stuff. They both came down, they're like, can I steal your pencil? I was like, no, like they knew how great it was. They were like instantly knew. Okay, guys, so I'm going to quickly try to get my page caught up with where Linda, as she's cutting out her designs, and you can see, so it's design, trace, cut, ink, replace. And so Linda has a good layout started on her end. And I just wanted to mention the photos because it really is the spot where you're going to have to maybe pivot or adjust. But as scrapbookers, usually what we're conditioned to do is to do it all in our head, right? Or to try to think about, can I crop down a 4x6? And then you start cropping down and you're like, shoot, I didn't want to do that because you didn't really have a game plan set out yet. And so with these designer templates, that's why we offer the photo sets, is to help you get out of your head and to build a sense of a game plan that you can feel confident in, and that you can kind of just let that pressure go. And then really once you get to that once you get past that design process into the step that Linda's at, you just kind of open up to this creative flow state. And that flow state is so good for you mentally, emotionally, all the above. It's such a good process to just kind of get lost in the simplicity of it. So we'll get there. We'll get there. But I'm still doing some of that analytical thinking. So for me, I'm looking at my pictures and I have, 4 of the 3x4. So often what I'll do is I'll take what I know that my pictures are. So like, for example, I have those 3x4s. Let me grab a few more. And I'll just take advantage of the designer templates again to help me even design the placement of my pictures in my overall scrapbooking page. So for example, this one I also have, right? And I can see instantly if I can trim down this 4x6. If I don't want to, then I'll keep it a 4x5 or a 4x6, right? And so you can kind of make some of those decisions. Like this one, I think I just want to keep it a 4x6. I love the scenery around it. I remember we just took these pictures And I had this really cute one of Debbie and her husband Earl. But my printer ran out, so I'm gonna have to print one more picture. So I need 2 4x6s. And I'll just have to know that I'll design with it and then add it after when I finish my page up. But I really felt like we were in a painting. It was like, I was like, this is the perfect spot. So we all took our turn to take a picture. It was so beautiful. What park were we at in Virginia? Do you remember what it was called? Moa.
Starts with an M.
Yeah, Moa. It was so beautiful. So beautiful.
Your pictures are always good, Susan.
Ah.
So, and I wanted to say another thing about the templates real quick is if you know they're a little opaque, and that is because you can see underneath where you're going to be cutting and tracing. So you can pick out the pattern. That's what I was doing a little bit earlier, deciding how I wanted that paper to appear with my little pie. So, and this is also true with the photo templates. So when you get ready to trim your pictures, it's already done for you by just using the photo mats and just looking where you want to trace or where you want to crop it at. So
Yeah, there's a lot of little hidden little helpful tips with when you can just use something more tangible to help you make some of those simple decisions too. So here I am, I'm gonna play around. So again, these placemats, Linda kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'm telling you guys, if you were like, I don't know where to start, or like you're getting overwhelmed, or one day you want to scrapbook one night and you're thinking, what am I gonna use? I like can say this confidently, grab a placemat, grab one of the scrapbooking template kits, and just let everything else go to the wayside. See what you can create with those. Get that creative flow, create your creative juices flowing, and then you'll see where you go from that, or just stick to those sets. You can't go wrong. But I do love, because instantly now I can either use the placemats as that resource for design. Like I can choose just to put my 2 photos here as it suggests, or I could choose to put a 4x6 over it and know that I want to change it up, but I'm still using it as that matting, that design mat. Honestly, I think I'm going to stick to possibly pulling in those 3x4s there. I think that I could do that on this. Maybe even, I do have these 3x4s printed. I could maybe even, no, that won't fit across. Nope, that won't work. Okay.
So I want to teach you a little trick. Some of you already know, but when you have dark paper that you can't see where your pencil is, now the Kurutoga does write on all dark paper and you're able to see it. But for you guys, I'm going to show you this trick. So you lay it, you've got it this way on your layout, right? So you're going to pick it up and you're going to lay it on the side that you want. You're going to slide it off, slide it under, and then flip it. Do not turn your paper and then put your template on, because it won't be in the same position that you designed it. Yep. Slide, slide, flip, we call it.
Slide, slide, flip. It's like a dance move when you're scrapbooking. Love it.
Exactly.
Love it. I think I might even choose to, so here, let me go back to Spotlight. So again, I'm kind of getting to that spot where, you know, taking the 10 or so minutes. I took the pictures that I had. I used the templates to help me build that game plan. So I know that I'm good there. And then over here, I'm going to crop those down. So I know I can easily do that with that. I'm going to put the 4x6 here. So right away, I could put my pictures to the side now. I'm just going to let them sit there for a moment, but I know that I considered them when I was designing. And then I just rearranged those things on my page until I came up with a pattern or a cohesiveness that I was appealed to with my eyes. Now, I will say, again, if you're getting stuck or you're overthinking this step, there's another little hack. Stand up. Move your body, like stand up, literally stand up from your seat, put a timer on for 10 or so minutes, and then see what kind of just comes forward. Because again, what happens when you stand up and when you put a timer on, you kind of in your mind, well, one, you get out of your head a little bit and you start to work towards a deadline instead of like you know, letting time just kind of spin. So those are my 2 hacks that are super, super beneficial to do as often as you need.
It's also very important to have good scissors when you cut. I prefer the Tim Holtz because I love the squishy handles and I have a lot of arthritis. So for me, this works really well. And they're also self-sharpening, so I don't have to sharpen them. I hate sharpening knives and scissors, but these are very good. This is a 7-inch. I also use the 4-inch scissors. Now, the ones that today that you get are actually black handled instead of the red. I can't tell you how old these are. I've even dropped them on the concrete and they still work. So.
I have never sharpened my scissors. I'm with you on that. And I love the Tim Holtz. But again, a good pair of scissors, whether that's, you know, a good decent Fiskars or any brand that you may love, if it works. But what we're really saying is don't do dollar store scissors. And just a good pair of scissors, like $15, $20 is worth the investment. Because yeah, if you're like, oh, it's my cutting, I'm like, it's probably your scissors. It's probably your scissors that is the problem here. Let's be honest.
I went to one of the hotel crops that Scrapmania puts on just right across the road. And there was one gal that came over and she said, I really need you to show me how to cut. And I looked at her and it kind of dumbfounded me for a minute because everybody knows how to cut, right? She did not. She said her friends made fun of her because she could not cut a straight line. So I watched her and she literally was holding her scissors at an angle like this. And she was left-handed, so it was very hard. So I told her, just turn your hand and move the paper as you cut with your left hand.
Yeah.
And she kept practicing and practicing. She almost cried. She says, I can cut. So,
Wow. Linda to the rescue. Linda to the rescue. All
there's
right. Go ahead.
I said there's always an answer or a technique to make things simple.
Yep. And of course, if you have blemishes, we'll get to inking. So again, design, trace, cut, ink, replace. And we kind of just repeat. Like it's just that simple process that, you know, a lot of people are like, how are you doing those pages? How are you finishing them? Here you go. It's all of the secrets out of the box. This is exactly what we're doing here. So Linda, we missed your border cutting. You're using an A-B, of course, the full thing. I think I might shift mine. I think I'm going to use the guidelines to shorten this one border because I want it just to go I want it to go inside here. So can you quickly just go backtrack on those borders now that I'm past the design step? I'm about to go into cutting my.
You got it. So the Kiwi Lane borders, when you buy a border set, they come 6 templates and there are 3 pairs. The pairs are great in the fact that when you saw me lay it down and put it together, this makes it easy for you in your cutting. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it this way, trace, put this one up against and make a mark or make a whole line. Or you could start this way, do it here, and then do your curved line. But once you do the tracing, then when you cut it, you have one for your left side and one for your right side. Now, these are marked 9 and 10. All the border sets are marked A and B, like 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, etc., etc. But you can mix and match the borders within the sets. You can do a lot of layering, or you can take another template from another set and mix it together. Or you can use the templates that you have within the scrapbooking kit set, and you can make a double layer like this using just those 2 templates. Of course, when you do that, you're going to have to put them on both sides. So if you layer on one side, you can do a single, or you'll have to layer on the other side. Hope that made sense. The borders, again, Kiwi Lane has done a lot of thinking on these. I know there's been a lot of question of bringing the mini borders back, but they've already used their ingenuity and done mini border size. So if you look at these marks right here, there's a 7-inch, there's an 8-inch, there's an 8.5 inch, and then there's a 9-inch, and then an 11. So if you're doing an 8.5 by 11 book, guess what? You're already there, 8.5 by 11. And then if you want to do a mini border, 9 inches. So if you're doing cards, you can do 7 inches. So the thing of it is these are so easy to design in any size scrapbook. The other thing about the borders, which are nice, like I said, with the layering and stuff, but the positions that you can put them in on your page. Okay, so when you're designing, I kind of went a little ahead of Susan because last night, right before I went to bed, I was so stinking excited to be doing this today that I went ahead and just designed real quick. I probably took about 10 minutes. Is that all it was, Lee, last night?
Something like that.
Yeah, about 10 minutes. And I just, she's right. I put the placemat down. This was my first thing. And it was kind of the biggest piece and the place where I wanted to focal or, highlight my photos. So anyway, with the borders, you can go side to side, top, bottom. Now here, you see this does not match right here, right? All of the borders will match on one side of the template. So you just have to find which one it does, and that's where it does. So if you go to do across the page, you just need to watch for that correct position. All right, and then you can also do back to back. You can do them in the middle. You can do a part of a one like Susan was doing. So say that you're wanting to do something on top. It measures 8.5 exactly on the mat. So you could cut a border. You could even put it up here. I mean, there's just limitless options with these borders. So I even had one the other day at a stay and play here at the store, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. She went from corner, and then she took her template and flipped it and went to the other corner. And it was fantastic. I'm like, all right, you've got it. So, but the stay and play here at Scrap Mania is I do them twice a month. Now that Lee and I are going full-time RVing, it's going to be a little less, but I have one scheduled in May on the 28th. It'll be all day from 10 to 6, and you just come in and you can play with all the Kiwi Lane templates that have been created and just have a good time. The thing of it is too, is like when you guys go to a crop, how much stuff do you take with you when you crop? Usually I see wagonfuls coming in and I feel so bad. Really, I feel so bad. I take one bag of my templates. Well, now it's 2 because I have all the templates ever made. So I've had to have 2, but they're rolling bags. And I have a bag with paper and my scissors, embellishments, paper, whatever I need to go with the templates. And that's it. I make one trip in and I'm done. And I can sit down and I can start designing. So that's another thing that Kiwi Lane is wonderful, wonderful addition. And Kiwi Lane also works great with other products, not just the paper, but punches, crimpers, dies, anything else that you may have already in your stash. I know some people say, well, I don't want to invest into another system. This is a system, yes, but it is a versatile system so much that you can use any of the products that you have already in your arsenal of craft. So
Rochelle joined too, but Carta Bella has the comment if you'd like me to read it.
yes, so
If
Madison,
they can
go.
all read it, yeah. And I don't know if Madison's still on or not, but it says, we love Scrap Mania. Seriously, it's keeps rolling. One of the best, get it out of the way. One of the best, I can't read it here.
Oh, just click on the arrow. Click on the arrow. It'll take you down. You'll have to go back up, but now you'll be able to get it.
Okay.
There you go.
There. And one of the best retail stores in the country. Those of you who are fortunate enough to be close are really blessed. He plans on making a trip up there for a visit in the near future. And the project's turning out awesome. Great job, ladies. So
Awesome.
just you guys.
Well, you guys did create some beautiful paper. And I'm like Susan, Echo Park, Carta Bella are probably my go-to for just about any paper.
And Brenda joined from Kentucky.
Awesome. How are we doing, Susan?
Well, I took my border while you were talking about borders, and I did decide to trim in on that 11-inch on the sides, and I did choose to go in a cross border, as you lovely explained on that. So you can see that I chose to do my border just a little bit different. We actually chose to cut our borders out of the same paper. So again, you can see that being side by side here as Linda scrapbooks and as I scrapbook my page. And then as far as making some of those decisions, what I really love about the borders, since we're really talking about them here, besides the measuring marks and the AB and the efficient use of your paper, it really holds the patterns well, meaning that it really grounds those beautiful papers on your page. It creates this nice frame for those busier patterns to go into, to embellish your page, to aesthetically give the vibe to your memories as we scrapbook and reflect on those pictures. But it doesn't compete with your pictures. And I think that that's due to the fact of the nature of the movement of the waves, but also the design of them, the borders themselves, as it really grounds your patterns and your design. So I don't always use borders on every single one of my layouts, but I will say that they are kind of that signature design that is so great with the Kiwi designer templates because of all of those things we just shared. So I decided to come in on my page. I feel like, I mean, I've always done a cross design. I really enjoy that. But in this one, I really wanted to bring it in, mostly because I feel like with the pictures that I'm scrapbooking, I really just feel like just bringing that slightly in more just keeps a little bit more openness, which reflects a little bit more of these outdoor pictures to kind of have that, I don't know, breezy aestheticness. I don't know. That was my logic of my thinking. Whether it's sound or not, that's what was happening.
I want to also to tell you a little trick that Susan taught us over the years. When you go to cut out the accessories, like I'm doing now, the smaller pieces, what you do is when you look at your piece, you want to make sure that you use the template in such a way that you save the length of the 12 inches. Okay. The reason you do that, because if you can get a border out of here with all the other scraps, you'll be able to do, make more layouts. Does that make sense? Because if I would have taken my nature walk here, number 9, and if I would have went to the bottom, this is the 12 inches, then I basically cut that down and I could only probably get 9 inches. So Susan, thank you for that tip years ago. I use it all the time.
Yeah, you want to keep it open-ended. So if you ever need that 12-inch span, your option is there until you get down to that little bit of scrap. All right, so I am going to go over some decision making as Linda's cutting out her layers. I'll explain some of my thought processes. Lori just asked in the comments, because of all the embellishments on the page are made with the flat paper, how do you approach deciding what printed paper to use for each of the elements on the page to keep it from looking muddled? That's a really good question, Lori. And there is actually a little bit of a framework that helps me in my decision making as I've learned more about different types of papers and how to look at them. So we have a really great PDF, and let us know in the comments. I'll have to follow up with you, but let me know in the comments if you don't have it, that really talks about how to mix and match papers and some things to consider and how to categorize your papers, so to speak. So this is a free guide, but I'll basically summarize what this guide shares. It talks about what we consider, what we categorize as main patterns, supporting patterns, and blenders. And to help you to get kind of this cohesive page effortlessly, we recommend that you have all 3. So a lot of times what happens sometimes with scrapbooking is we fall in love with one of those eye candies, right? Those really attractive patterns. And they, you know, we want to use them or we don't because we're afraid to cut into it because we just love it so much, right? So been there, but at the same time, the purpose is to be used. It's sad if you don't use it. That's what I'm going to start saying when people say they're afraid to cut in it. Now you made your paper sad. It wants to be used. But these main patterns are busier. And so, of course, you want that eye candy. You want to feel, I don't know, alive and excited. And patterns do that. They do that for me. I really love them, and which is why they can be so addicting. But along with that, so like, for example, we pulled these 2 sheets in because, you know, Linda was going to create and I was going to create, but I'll be honest, I'm looking at this paper. I don't need all this paper. I am not going to be using all of this paper. Actually, I was like, most likely I'm going to finish another 1-pager or so and then have to share it here in the Kiwi Lane community from this Carta Bella collection. But basically though, then you also need a supporting. So for me, I was looking at this background, so double-sided, so considering background too, which Linda's actually cutting out right now of her red pattern. And that supporting is a great place to place the bigger elements or like some embellishing parts. But this is nice when it supports your main patterns. Okay, so see how that is not so busy. And usually supporting patterns are geometric. They're standard designs, polka dots, stripes, chevrons, plaids. Like they're type of patterns that are not so character. They don't have so much personality, but they do support those main patterns that do have that personality. So I actually think Linda went directional with using some of the backgrounds. I think I'm going to actually pull in this plaid. And I've just learned when I start choosing what patterns. Kathy says she can't see me.
I'm seeing it, both of them.
Okay, Kathy, maybe pin it. I don't know why it's doing that, but hopefully that helped. I moved to one for just a moment. Is that you can, okay, so when I'm making those decisions, 80%, I think my percentage changes every time, but it's literally 80 to 90% every time I sit down to scrapbook. I most likely always put my main pattern in the borders. It works.
Me too. Me
I don't
too.
overthink it. I just go for it. And depending if there's something outside of the box, maybe I'm choosing a different sign. Maybe I chose to do a big 6x12 strip, right? Maybe I saw a sketch that I did that, and then I would choose to put a main pattern there. But for the most part, again, what I was sharing earlier about how it anchors that, it really holds that main pattern nicely. And then usually with my, what I would categorize as that supporting pattern, will go to my next biggest piece. So in this design, because I chose to use these designer templates to create with today, I think, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut that out of the placemats and do that. Now, of course, I could also flip this over if that was too busy and use that other side. Then when it comes down to these other little embellishments, I don't think Linda's quite there. Well, she actually, she is just speedy. Look at her, guys. She's just going at it. She cut out her leaves out of some of the yellows. She balanced it. And so we'll go through that as I cut some pieces out, but I just jumped to Linda's for a moment. And that's where those blenders come in, is really to help with those other layers as you were just asking. So again, when you were like, how do you, with all the layering, I mean, one, the great thing is mostly it's going to be paper. Linda, I think, likes to add a little bit more details, and she's probably going to get to that here quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Got to roll while I'm still cutting out my layers. But it's really what happens with the layers to help tone it down is pulling in some of these blenders, maybe when you get to cutting your flowers or your other elements out. So just keep that in mind. Now, again, I did mention this, that this was a good solution, and honestly, that would be really cute. Here's why I'm questioning it now on the placemat, putting this plaid versus maybe like the plaid. This plaid that Linda used is actually a really good one because it's not as colorful per se, but I do need my photos to go on top of that. And if you put your photos on busier patterns, they will get lost, right? Which is often why we mat our pictures with solids or things like that. Keep that in mind when you're working with the placemats, because the placemats are basically like designed placemats. That's, I mean, they're called placemats, which are like photo mats, but they're designing photo mats. They have design to them, and they have suggestions on how to place your photos. So just like in, maybe if you went to mat your pictures, you would want to be careful to either add a thin one behind it or not so colorful pattern like that. And those are just things that I've learned through time. So you'll slowly get to that kind of thing. But overall, just when you pick your paper out, make sure you have a good combination of that. If you have all main patterns, it's going to feel overwhelming. if you only have like solids, it's going to feel bland. So you do want to incorporate those beautiful main patterns and those beautiful pattern papers into your mix. But you do need to also think about what's on the back of those papers and having some papers or colors, even if it's not from the same collection, like Linda was just talking about. We'll try to match this red and pull the red out of the main pattern and pull some cardstock in for maybe your flower pieces or other elements to kind of pull the whole design together, but also to keep it cohesive, not muddled, as you so you speak. Now, granted, everybody has a preference. I have created pages that I don't consider busy, and some people are like, "Oh, that's so busy," and I'm like, everyone's style is a different preference. So definitely, when your paper picking choice is very personal, but hopefully a little bit of those frameworks have helped.
Also, too, if you do have too busy a pattern and you're stuck with it, there is a little trick. You can put a solid cardstock or a very small print and make an edge right along whatever two patterns are together. For instance, right here, let me just take this. So you could make another one of this in the light, and that would give you another layer, and it will also help quiet what do I call it? The two patterns together being so bold. This kind of softens a little bit, and you do see the edge of this more. Yeah, give some separation, like when I do here. The ink does make a difference, but if you can see that,
Oh, it
see, it's
does.
a little more bold. So, and it doesn't have to be very much. It could be just a tiny bit. I find myself doing that, especially when I'm working with like Graphic 45 or Mente, something that has a lot of business going on.
Right, they do.
It's really good to have burlap.
Yes, ma'am. You know I am.
All right, I think I'm going to go back to my pattern here that I was going to use. The yellow is a little too warm, and hopefully you guys could still see it because I know I wanted to use that darker background because of the templates and doing the live. But yes, and Carmen, I'll talk more about paper as I go through some of my thought processes as I'm making them, because hopefully, like I said, adopting some of those mixing and matching guidelines that we share help streamline your decision making. Like I said, if it helps, for whatever it's worth, like I said, 80-ish, 90-ish% of the time, I always put my main pattern into a border. Just put it into a border. I guarantee it will work. And then on your supportings, then you can go and you can make sure that it is actually a good supporting. If it's not, then just choose like a two-tone. Tone it down. Don't feel like you have to always go to like use every specific paper. I know sometimes we feel like if we have, like we give a lot of weight, right? This has a beautiful pattern, and then the opposite side is this like plaid, which we've seen lots of plaids before, right? Like it's nothing grand or special. So a lot of times we're like, but we need to use this because the value of this paper is this pattern. This is the value of this paper. Well, a paper actually is the same cost. Doesn't matter what you print on it, it's the same cost. But I will say, I think if that is even a thought process, and maybe it's not, but even if it is, I hope that you realize that you don't devalue this sheet. If this sheet works better, and you might never even use this side, which might seem like a waste, right? But if it works with what you're working on today, don't put it off tomorrow for what you can use it for today and for that. Okay.
So yes, I am using burlap. I get it right here at the store. This is $2.74, and it's paper on one side and burlap on the other. It's by American Craft cardstock. I don't know really what got me started in burlap. It's just kind of, I needed another texture on my paper, and
The love of potatoes.
the love of potatoes. Yes, I do love my potatoes.
Love of potatoes.
So, but I'm going to do something a little different. So if you see, and I've already cut the big flower out, and then I've got these little 2x2 photos up here, which are great for trimming out those little details in the picture, but I'm going to use it as a flower center. So what I'm going to do is take, I need 1, 2, 3, 4 little squares. So I'm just going to mark it like this. I have 1, 2. And you know, you don't have to have a trimmer to play with Kiwi Lane. Now, you guys have probably seen me use it. It's the Tim Holtz trimmer. It's about $35. It's a wonderful little trimmer. But sometimes when I go to some crops where you'd only have like a 4-foot space, I don't want to mess with my trimmer. I just take my scissors and you can cut these out because the templates are perfect to help you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, trick is you want to take and cut this off of your layout because it does leave a little bit of dust. Yeah, I didn't bring my nasty mat. How about that? I forgot my nasty mat. I think, well, no, I think it's in my
Explain a
papers.
nasty mat.
So a nasty mat, okay, a nasty mat for me is just a small self-healing mat that I can cut on, I can glue on, but then I take it and put it away from my layout so I don't get any debris on my layout. Plus the background that I use here, this nice little mat, if you continue to glue on it and don't clean it, guess what? You're going to have a sticky mess. So for me, I use a nasty mat because it gets nasty. Yep.
They were asking whose male voice is this? It sounds familiar.
That is Lee, you guys. He decided he would come in and join us. Well, here's
keep you all in line.
He's like, do you need me to come? I was like, no, I don't need you. You're fine. He says, you sure you don't need me? And that was my cue. He wanted to come. He loves Kiwi Lane, guys. I mean, no kidding. So the story of how I got into it, Susan knows this, and some of you do. Years ago, about 2010, I went to a Creative Keepsakes convention, and I tried to get in and see what was going on. And I kid you not, the whole booth.
City area
Was it Atlanta? And there were people, like 3 ladies deep, looking at these beautiful albums. And I couldn't get in, so I walked away for an hour, come back. They're still there. There's ladies still there. Well, finally, one shimmied away, and I got myself in there, and I looked, and I'm like, okay, don't know what this is, but I got to have it. So I went up to the cash register and said, I want one of everything. And the lady goes, oh, it might be a little expensive. I said, my husband gave me an empty credit card. I want one of everything. And so I went out with a bag, and they gave me the book number 1, which is not available in print, but I think it's still available on the computer on the marketplace, isn't it, Susan?
Digital.
Can you digital? Yeah, digital. There you go. So I walked out to Lee, and I'd only been in there 2, maybe 3 hours, and he says, "You done already?" I said, "Yep, I spent what I wanted to spend. I'm done." And so he said, "Well, show me what you got." And so he opens the bag and he looks at, he says, "You bought plastic?" And I said, "But wait," and I give him the book. I said, "This is what it does." So he looks at it, he goes, "This with those templates, right?" I said, "Yes." And so he said, "I think you're onto something." And so every time that I created from that point on, he loves it. I mean, when we're going full-time motorhoming, we're leaving on the 15th, and we are going around to people around the United States that want to learn about Kiwi Lane, or even if they don't, I'm going to show them how the Kiwi Lane works. But I love it so much because there is no brain fog. When I am done with this, I can take these same exact templates, just like Susan's doing, and create again and again and again.
Right.
So the other thing is too, Susan, her and I both love the nature walk, but there are 2 more sets. I told you there's 4 photo mats, but there are 2 more scrapbooking kits. And one is called Everyday Adventure, which is a little more on the masculine side, but still beautiful to work with for anything. And then there's one called Party Time. And it's not just like birthday parties or anything like that. You can use it for any subject, what's just anything. It's got a beautiful banner in there, a lot of great usage with all 3 kits. And if you get those 3 kits, then they intermix with each other too. So yeah, these are the best things that you come out with, Susan, for helping someone who is new or someone who is a little more advanced with their scrapbooking in Kiwi Lane.
Yeah. I mean, it changed my scrapbooking experience too. So, which is why we created them, because we were struggling every time we sat down to scrapbook, and we felt like, you know, do we give up this hobby that we love? Because we were like, you know, all the pages we were seeing mostly at the time were one picture and like just an astonishing amount of embellishments, you know, like prima flowers where you can only use them once, right, on a page or something. And so it was pretty overwhelming. It was pretty
Yes.
overwhelming. But we came up with the process and the system slowly, and then we started to use it. And then of course, scrapbookers started to ask questions like, how are you creating those? And we're like, oh, all right, well, maybe we should start sharing them. And we sure are glad we did, because if we can help you to finish some beautiful pages and to continue to enjoy this hobby and to use up your supplies and feel satisfied in that, then all of it is worth it. Then all of it is worth it. So I'm glad that Linda went to the show that day and that Lee gave her, you know,
An empty credit card.
way better than my husband is. He would never, but.
Well, hey, somebody just came in here and I would like you to say hello. This is the owner. This is the owner of Scrap Mania. It's a wonderful, wonderful gal. I can't say enough about her. She's actually going to be buying my house. So she's waiting for me to get out so she can get in. But I want to introduce to you the wonderful lady that supplied this space for us today and that has these beautiful papers. Say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Love
This
it.
is Stacy. So,
Yeah.
and if they want to buy anything that they see,
Just
not
give
the
us a call.
templates, and the number is
319-377-9999. We ship Monday through Saturday, and we do not have an online store. We do have 13,600 square feet here in the store, and we're just not ready to go online yet. So you just call us, tell us what you want over the phone, and we tell you what we've got, and we ship it the same day. And if the mailman's already been here, it ships the next day. So it's really fast, and we only charge what we pay for shipping, and we use Pirate Ship, which makes it even cheaper. So give us a try. You'll love it.
she can't sell the Kiwi Lane templates. These can only be gotten through a creative partner. And but she does have the storage that you can use, the Totally Tiffany sleeves and the little box. So if you're interested in how to organize your templates, she can help you with that. So,
And Susan, if you ever decide you want to go in stores, you know who's first.
I know.
In case Linda hasn't told you enough, I'll tell you too.
she loves Kiwi Lane. She's a user herself.
I just
At
love
first-
that you guys support each other, and I think it's just beautiful, and your friendship is beautiful, and it's fun to watch. And yeah,
she's a great lady. Her family, the whole family is. They actually moved us in all the big pieces of stuff. So hardworking.
I had to go to storage, but I will comment what I see on Susan's layout, the colors that are in the border with the blues that are in the picture, it really complements really well.
yeah, and that's what's really fun, is just a good nature picture. Anything outside would work great with this kit, or any kind of family memories would work great with this kit. I mean, it's called what, Summer Farmhouse? I guess any summer memories work great with this kit.
Yep.
It just has a warmth to it. I almost think fall too when I see this kit. But this paper we did get from Scrap Mania. So like I said, you might have this. I was always surprised when I scrapbook with the paper. People are like, oh, I have that in my stash. I'm going to use it. Yes, let's go use up that stash. But if you don't, and you have pictures that will go great with this paper, definitely call Scrap Mania and get it while you can, because I don't think they have much of it left, but it is.
Oh no, she ordered more. She
Oh, she
ordered
did?
more. Yes, she did. I'm going to make sure that everyone that wants is able to get it. So yes, she has some now, but she did order more. So she ordered the paper individuals and she ordered the collection kits.
Hmm.
The other thing I think that's really important that Linda mentioned earlier. So like the monthly kit clubs or just the templates in general, you can use them again and again and again. I've seen Linda go back and grab a kit club from 2021 or even older and say, yeah, that template, that's what I need for this, when she's on a special project or a special layout. And so it's nice. It's not like using a sticker or a stamp or something where you use it maybe once and it's once and done. I guess a stamp you can use more, but it's
Yeah.
hard to vary it where you can vary the templates.
Yes. And it's a very efficient use of your paper. Like I said, we recommended those few sheets, but guys, like, I'm not gonna make a dent, I think, in those paper sheets. So definitely have enough to create even another page or two with it. So you can see I'm kind of cutting my layers. I think Linda, let me see what page she's cutting out her flower. I
That
will go
much.
back to some of these decision makings that I made, just because I know I mentioned that I would cover a little bit of more of that, Carmen and Marla. So again, I think when it comes to these top layers, so if you take your borders and make your decision there with your borders, I have found that it just kind of helps spring into the other layer decisions when you're picking paper. Then go to your next biggest item, whether like in this case, it's a placemat, or maybe you have rings or something like that, right? Whatever that biggest piece that you might be having that you designed your page with, see what works there, but consider your pictures, right? And how it will complement your pictures, but also keeping in mind, you don't want them all to be main patterns. You want to make sure to love these two-tones and blenders just as much as you love those eye candy main sheets, because they are what makes this be super substantial on your page. Okay, so then as far as my flowers go, or I guess you could say these last embellishing layers, right? I have a little cluster over here. I have a little cluster over here. Linda looks like she's using the same exact template. She has her flower, her like bracket design that's really cute for tucking. I know that's hard to see now that I changed to this other black backdrop, but background. But you can absolutely kind of experiment with the patterns, I guess, at this point. If you want to stay to solids, like a solid red flower and a solid blue on top, that would have been beautiful. You don't have to put like patterns into your embellishments. You can stick to more solids and let these patterns take center stage. But in this case, I did choose to take the larger flower because I loved the plaid, and I chose to put that in there. But usually when I make a decision on this side, and Linda did it, but she just didn't talk about it. You see how she chose to do the plaid on the left on the placemat, and then she chose to do the vase and plaid on the right side. So that really helps when you want to just make quick decisions, like literally quick decisions, so to speak, is if I do the plaid over here, I can come over here and say, huh, like, is there something over here that I can do with that same pattern? Like, would I put the plaid in something like that? And it just depends on what your plans are. For me, I'm using the bracket. You could use it as a journaling spot. You can use it as like a place for your title. Do you have a title that you're adding to your page, Linda?
I do, but I didn't bring the letters. I'm going to use Doodlebug's alphabet soup letters. I thought about doing like a blue title right here. I don't remember what it is because it's on my phone, which is videoing right now. But I've got about four different choices. I went through and I just Googled. Okay, so the pictures, guys, that I'm using, I haven't showed them all to you yet. But it was when our daughter and son-in-law announced that they were pregnant with their first child. And so I looked up, I just Googled birth, how did I do that? What was it called, Lee? Help me out. It was like celebrating the announcement or something like that. I just did some Googling and got some titles. So
Okay, well, I was just curious because I had pulled out, these little things that have been in my stash forever. So initially, like when I started to create, or with this paper, I was like, well, I didn't have a title. I know that Carta Bella and Echo Park, they do the little title squares, right? I think you actually have one of the sheets there, Linda. But those are great, easy titles. Build
I know
in
what,
sentiments. Yeah, they can help build in sentiments. In this case, I wanted to look in my stash because I didn't buy that sheet of paper, but I did love the paper. Of course, these ones, and
this, right
yeah,
there's 3x4s.
we see those all the time, and those are really easy to incorporate with the designer templates. And when I say incorporate, like incorporate them into your overall design. So like that circle one could be really cute to cut that out of. So this is the rest of this collection. So again, adorable collection by Carta Bella, super fun. Yes, again, those papers are lovely, but we want to make sure we use them too. So let's put those to some finished pages. So I just thought about doing more of like a love this life or something like that. So let me cut that out. I think I'm going to layer that on top. So often when I get to this phase, and when I say this phase, I'm kind of to this intermediate, like between like finishing all my cuts, and yet I have a good substantial start to my page. I really enjoy this step because what happens inside of me, I don't know, Linda, you tell me what happens inside of you, but I know for me, when I get to this step, I just feel like I can relax.
Yep.
I starts to decide, like my brain starts like relaxing with it, meaning my mind starts thinking of like, oh, I have this in my stash. I wonder what that would look like. And it's not very like congested. Like it feels just like freeing to be like, what other things that I have in my supplies? So the play to create method really allows you to play also friendly with the other supplies, as Linda shared, because I have never used my supplies or felt as inspired to use my supplies that as I do with having this kind of that starting point with these designer templates in the mix. So going back to paper really quickly. So I guess where I was going with that, because I'm choosing to use this more as a decorative element, it doesn't always have to be a place for journaling or a title. I'm using these other decorative elements for that title. Then in that case, because that's okay with me, I actually will say, oh, well, I want to balance this plaid. Sure, I'm going to take this plaid over here and I'm going to cut this out of, if I can get it up, my nails don't want, there we go. Out of this Nature Walk number 8 design. And so as Linda was talking about, it may be tempting to just put it up here, but I always liked like right here, right? But what I'm going to test out and move it over, because the designer templates allow you to even move it around on your paper. And just consider that, because an efficient use of your paper is worth extending that paper to as much as you can. So I'm gonna actually cut it out here, because then that keeps a good portion of that width for the 12-inch intact. So balancing, if you make one decision for a pattern, like you decide to cut a piece of paper or a piece of a design, you decide to cut a design out of one pattern, then you can take a peek at the other side and see if there's anything else that maybe that pattern would work with. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you don't have the plaid on the left and the plaid on the right, but cohesively it still works. But it also will not only help you with simplifying the choices when it comes to picking paper, but it will also help you to simultaneously balance your 2-page spread if you're creating a 2-page spread. So in this case we are, but if you like to do 1-pagers and all of that too, it might not be a matter of balancing left to right. It might be a matter of, if you're doing a 1-pager, balancing from top weight to bottom weight, which patterns do the same thing. Okay. All right. So hopefully we could see everyone's again. I keep getting some people mentioning they can't see my page. So let me jump to mine really fast. Linda, let me know when
I'm
you're.
seeing them.
Okay.
I see you right now.
All right. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and ink those edges. We didn't talk much about inking. I mean, Linda, you talked a little bit about inking, I guess, right?
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Talk initially when we first started this live: design, trace, cut, ink, replace. Inside of that, you can definitely explore as you're the designer. Just as Linda is the designer of her page, her style is going to be her style. Mine's going to be mine style, even though we're using similar supplies. And that's the beauty of the Play to Create system too. It really does give that your willingness to play your way to your creativity, and it will just support you in that. So with that said, the inking steps, we do recommend inking, simply because we understand that, you know, the system is simple, and because of such, we're saying, hey, with a good pair of scissors, you don't have to stand up, you don't have to measure, you don't have to, like, you know, waste a lot of your paper through just trying to make some of those measurements with cutting machines and all these other things. Now, granted, if you love your machine, you love your machine, but really, honestly, strategically, that's why we chose it, because we realized that it was just simpler to do that. But we did know that, you know, you are going to be cutting them. So honestly, the easiest solution, again, to stick to simple, easy, basic, is to ink those edges. It hides any blemishes, imperfections, pencil marks, anything like that. But then it also does give you the contrast when you're layering so many patterns and elements together. But that layering is what's giving you the substance to your life memories that you're scrapbooking. It's giving that essence of quality, so to speak. And when I say that, we're just using paper, really, and yet you could still add a very nice, beautiful, finished page to your scrapbooking experience.
Susan touched on that. Once you do Kiwi Lane, you get excited and you want to do more. I tell people it's like going to the movies, ordering your popcorn, watching a movie, and your hands are happy, your tummy's happy, your brain's happy, and you want to do more. But when the bucket runs out of popcorn, are you wanting to stay and watch the movie, or are you thinking about going and getting more popcorn? So for me,
All right, I like it.
that's like Kiwi Lane. And once I do it, it's like, oh, I want to do more. I don't like to stop once I get scrapbooking, because like Susan said, you just use paper. Now I like using different textures of paper. You don't have to do that. But if you like doing it, then by all means, just go ahead and let it go. Anything is not off the table when scrapbooking with Kiwi Lane, because it goes with everything.
Absolutely.
All right, so I have a couple of leaves to cut out, but I want to get everything together before I do that. Before
Finish it up.
So we have no time limit as long as you're okay, Susan.
Yeah, we're still good. Yep. I'm almost
Awesome.
done. I'm down to my last few designs here.
So I use the ATG gun. I know a lot of people say it's big, it's bulky, and at first it was, but now it's just it's easy. It's just second nature to me. So you can. I know they don't make it anymore, and the refills are hard to find, but they are here at Scrapmania. They're not the Scotch. The refills are still just as good as the Scotch and a whole lot cheaper. They're
Yeah.
around $3 a roll. So if you use that, and then
It
as
is very
far as
permanent adhesive. I will agree that it is.
Yeah.
But you lay that down. You better know where you're laying that down, because it's solid adhesive, which is a positive. It's a pro. It's just something to be mindful of. Yeah.
and so wet glue, liquid glue. My favorite is Barely Art. What is your favorite, Susan?
I definitely think the same. I like Very Art too. And then you should show them. I mean, this is at Scrapmania. This was hard to find, but if you haven't grabbed yours yet, this is awesome for your liquid adhesive.
Oh, the glue press.
Yeah, do you have yours? Yeah.
No, no, mine, I left it at home. I
Oh,
just got the
okay.
bottle. I went light today. So,
I
all
think
right.
the thing though with adhesive, as you're getting to that replace step, is even though you said like that adhesive, I use 3L. I do think the thing, again, if you're just getting scrapbooking, or again, you know what, those of you that have been scrapbooking for a while, sharing your comments just in case there is a newbie, because I do think the common question that I hear from newbies is what adhesive to use, and so tempting to buy like dollar store or $2 adhesive. But I'll tell you, it's one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever did, because your pages just fall apart. So I think it's worth investing after you put all of this effort into your page to make sure that you use a good adhesive. And I know there's a lot out there in the market. I don't really have specific. I use the 3L just because of convenience, that I've always had it and used, and it's repositionable. But then like the adhesive, the big gun that you were just using, I do use that on like my mini album projects, because I want to make sure they don't come up, the pages don't come up, you know. But go ahead and share the rest, because in liquid adhesive, so some type of tape runner, a good
Yep.
tape runner, and a
The-
liquid adhesive are the two main things, and some pop-up. You can't forget pop-up.
Oh, you
But
can't forget those. And there's two different sizes that I use. I use the 0.04 and the 0.08. So the 0.04 is half as thick as the 0.08. But in using them, you're going to get another dimension, not just with your paper, but with the height of your accessories. So like when I'm going to put these flowers down, right now I have 3 pieces, right?
Hence
So
is why they're called elevators.
Billy calls them elevators. But if I leave it flat, it doesn't really, I mean, it's cute, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't give that extra element of eye candy. So if we take it now, the reason I do 2 different sizes is because of the elevation. It looks more 3D. So
And you have to be mindful of how much room you have in the sleeve that you might put your layout in too.
right. So, but these squish, so you don't have to worry. So I'm starting with a 0.04 on the bottom. And sometimes I'll glue in the middle of the layers and just
about
pick.
pop-ups right now. Yeah, exactly. Correct. I love that 3-layer. It's so pretty on that flower.
And I think I'm going to glue this one. All right, gonna get my Barely Art glue. Now,
So I was
most
about
of
to,
you, go ahead.
no, I was just about to ask you what you were gonna, but you're going into it. I know you are. So
Yep.
go ahead.
So most of you would probably just glue this piece down, right? Well, it doesn't cover the whole flower. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it in the middle. And this is the really fine tip on here, so I'll make sure I get enough, because the burlap is a fabric, so it will soak through to the fabric, and then it does not stick. Okay, there we go. And then I'll go back to the pop-up foam squares. I get corrected, foam squares.
Oh, well, pop-up. I call it pop-up. So same
And
thing.
I'm going to use the 0.08. So we've got 0.04. We have a flush. And now we'll do the 0.08. And by the way, Stacy brought us a glue press back here. And what the glue press is it comes with Nuvo glue, and it comes with an extra empty bottle. So you could use whatever glue, or you could use glossy accents or anything that's liquid in the other bottle. And the deal behind it is like, I have to have a pin stuck in here, right? Or it's going to clog. With the
Yes.
glue press.
It's the most annoying thing. This is just like, I'm almost annoyed that I didn't come up with it myself, but you know.
And with the pin, I don't know about you, Susan, but I bend it. I got about the 3rd or 4th time. Plus, I have trouble with my eyes seeing it to get it back in the hole. I mean, it's just a whole
It's awful.
complex.
Yeah, it's awful.
But this, once you have the glue in there, you put the cap. Let's see if I can show you. You put the cap on. There's a little place in the front, And then when the glue press is in its holder, there's a little rubber pillow. And if you put the tip of your glue on top of that pillow, not off to the side, on top, it will stay unclogged. And I don't even know how long the longest it has been. I mean, I've had mine up for 2 weeks before I had to move it, and it does not clog. But if it slips off into the little valley on the bottom, it will run and it will clog. So, but this is a great, great tool for those of you who don't like the pin in the bottle.
Oh, well, I don't know who would like the pin in the bottle. It was a nightmare. So this was like, yeah, best next thing. What is that saying? That's butter, spreading butter or whatever. I don't know what it is, but there's a thing. No, I think this is really great. So again, just from the adhere. So design, trace, cut, ink, replace. Again, a lot of you guys watching have adhesive that you love, but I know as scrapbookers, we can all say for sure, if you're a new scrapbooker, that a good quality adhesive makes a difference. And so really what we're suggesting is some kind of, tape runner. Be wary of tape runners that are, I'll be honest, don't buy tape runners that are $2. Your pages will fall apart in a few years. They'll dry out and fall apart. So just make sure you get a good tape runner. And then liquid adhesive, this is awesome. It's really great. And liquid adhesives are great for the double, the triple. Well, you used yours on your texture, your burlap, but it's also great for little details. Like if you have a small piece of paper, or you're adding a little daub behind a button or something. And then of course, pop-up is just, I don't know what it is inside of me. It's just so satisfying. I love pop-up. It's so bone tape, whatever you want to call it, but I love taking it and just adding a little bit behind there. It's super satisfying to me. So I definitely recommend some basic pop-up. So
There was
that's
some
all
great
good.
comments
So,
out there about that too, Susan. I saw of Sabrina talked about she had an older scrapbook and pages falling apart, and some others also talked about it too, having some Walmart type tape and so forth to some of their runners and have to go back and redo their albums because everything was falling apart.
yeah, exactly. Mine too. A few of my pages fell apart and my heart just broke. So it's worth it. It's not worth the few dollars that you could save. Don't do it. So, but yeah, lots of scrapbookers are always willing to suggest those things. And those basic supplies are available at Scrapmania. So if you're looking for someone to support and from a local store point of view, definitely make sure again to contact Scrapmania for those basic tools, because really honestly what you kind of see on this table, and I didn't really leave my table out all. I pulled out the designer templates that we said we were going to use, which is nature walk, placemats, and my photos. I pulled in my paper and my pictures, which if you're going to scrapbook, you have to have paper, you have to have pictures. You definitely have to have those two things. I don't care what your style is, right? That's scrapbook. We want to scrapbook our life memories, and paper is just awesome. And then the basic tools. I have ink and a dauber, some adhesive. Like I said, there are a few different types of adhesive, but even if you just start with a tape runner, that's really the place to start. A good pair of scissors, and then a pencil. Those are the basic tools that I have. And I do have a paper trimmer, but like Linda says, if with specifically with the Kiwi Lane templates, you really don't need it, but I do have one because I don't necessarily love to cut a straight line. I like to use my paper trimmer to do that work for me. And then you can still create a beautiful page. You don't need these grand supplies and you don't need these grand tools to be productive and also satisfied with your finished pages.
And I will tell you, when electricity goes out, you can still Kiwi Lane.
Oh, you have said that before, I know. I've been scrapbooked in candlelight before, I really have. So
we had a derecho that went through here years ago, and to be honest with you, it didn't bother me because I had my Kiwi Lane. And like Susan said earlier, it kind of gives you a sense of satisfaction, comfort, it's less stress because it's all doing, it's working with your body. It's just a fantastic system. I don't know if you guys have been watching here, but I've kind of been doing a little bit of this lately. I fringed the edges of the template. Let me show you how to do this. This is another little texture. So make sure I'm up. Okay. So I cut it in half, cut it in half, cut it in half. And then I go back. I know it's gonna be a little hard to see, but I'll cut each one of those in half. The gold's a little hard, but then I just give it a little flick and you get fringed on your flowers. So it gives that flat template another look. Not that there's anything wrong with the flat template, but Susan knows I'm always looking for something different that I can do with the templates, not just use them as they were designed for. I love creating things. In fact, it was really hard, Susan, not to try and do something different on this one too.
I say Linda's got an engineer mind. She's so engineer. Which I
You make it easy, super easy. So, oh, Susan, can we tell them about May?
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, are you talking about Novi, Michigan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No, yeah, we just decided, we had, Scrapbook Generation, reach out to us or not Scrapbook Generation, sorry. Why am I spacing it? Novi, Michigan is with
Mega Meat.
There you go. I'm like, where are we at? Different conversations. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna be headed up to the Novi, Michigan. It's been quite a few years since we've personally been there. And then of course, you know, Linda was really excited because she's already gonna be there. And so to see
I'm going.
yeah, so that would be really fun. So if you happen to be in the area there, and it's May 9th through the 11th is what it is. So
they'll have a booth, guys.
yes, we'll have a booth there. You can come by, say hi, let us know. Hey, Sharon is asking, can you repeat the names of your favorite liquid adhesives again? Okay. So I think the Bear one. Yep.
Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. Now the what is it called? The glitter, what's the art glitter glue? That is what I used to use before this. They're both great. The difference for me is the art glitter glue actually dries immediately, so you don't have a chance to move things. But the Barely Art gives you a few more seconds to get that flower or leaf or whatever you're working with, or the gem, gives it just a few seconds longer for you to get it in position.
Isn't that interesting? Because that's why I was like, oh, I like art glitter because it dries quicker. So I guess it just depends again on where you as a creator, where you're like, oh, you constantly run into that little bit of a pickle, then I'm sure there's a scrapbooker that out there like Linda that would be like, oh, then you just need to use this glue instead of this one. So you don't run into that situation as often too, because we don't like to feel frustrated when we scrapbook. Let's keep those roadblocks away as much as possible. But then along with that, Sharon, I will say if you're looking at the liquid adhesive, gosh, this precision glue gun thing that I got from Scrapmania is amazing. It's awesome. So, and Scrapmania has those in stock as well. So if you are looking where to get those, and I know they were out of stock for quite a bit of time all over. So Scrapmania got a few more in stock. So that's awesome.
She's got a few.
You're welcome.
I did see a comment from Ruby Harris when you were talking about the feathering that you do on your flowers.
Yeah.
She said you tried that yesterday and it worked out great.
Awesome. It's just a little different texture to your paper. Another eye candy, I call it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, texture is always fun, especially when you get to this finishing touch here. Like I said, I'm looking at my page and I'm like, oh, well, I'll probably add a few enamel dots, different things to my page. Linda's kind of adding a few more layers to her. I love all the butterflies that you're adding to the right side of your page there. I have another 4x6 photo that like I told you, I need to print and put here. So you can't really see that, but that's kind of this template's holding this spot for me here. So I need to finish that and then I'll post a picture. My photo printing ran out of ink and I didn't have any backup, which is crazy, but it's not here. I'll order it on Amazon. It will be here tomorrow. But
Thank Jesus for Amazon.
moments like that, yes. I usually actually have my photo printer thing for my Canon photo printer. Like, I
So
just
which
took it off
printer do
subscription
you
because
use? Can you tell them what printer you use?
yeah, I use the Canon Selfie at home for printing. I've talked about this a few times because I think a lot of people are like, oh, do I need a home printer? And I like a home printer just because I like to scrapbook whatever pictures that I want to scrapbook at a time. I don't scrapbook in chronicle order for example. But if I have a batch of pictures from like a trip or something, I still go and I put those orders in. I don't print all those pictures at home because it will take too long. So if I'm doing a batch printing like 100 pictures or whatever, like, you always see those deals where it's like super cheap to print 100 pictures. I still do that. I'm not solely a home printer, but I do love the convenience. If I need to print a picture off, I have it and it's really great. But yeah, the Canon Selfie has served me well. I know a lot of people have different opinions, but this is the only one that I can give feedback on, and it works great. It's wireless. It hooks up to my phone. I just go to the app on my phone and I click print and it prints it, but it needs a new ink cartridge. So it was printing these pictures and then it said on the last one, it's like, nope, not gonna work. So
Kim had a question. She said she missed the beginning. Can you restate what the paper pack was that you're using?
I'll put it right in front. It is the Farmhouse Summer by Carta Bella. And
Yeah.
we just actually, Susan and I, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets out of this collection that we're using, and we're not even using all of the paper that of the 4 sheets that we are using, but we're using identical paper except for our backgrounds. And of course, I'm adding some burlap and some glitter and some vellum. So, but that's the collection, and you can get it right here at Scrap Mania. And their number is 319-377-9999. Now,
look at you. It's like an infomercial there. It's like 9999. I love it. Oh, really? Scrap Mania is awesome, guys, and we want to help support them. And if you give them a call and you love these products we're using outside of the designer templates, definitely make sure to reach out to them. So like I said, I loved this paper. I actually you pulled in burlap. I might have to pull in some of these solids that Carta Bella has too. I need something just to tone down these a little bit. I was looking at you and you haven't finished yet. So I thought, well, I might add another little flower over here. And I love getting to that spot too. Again, you don't have to be like, again, think of the whole page and make sure every element. Just start with the basic general idea and then build up from there.
yes.
So if you love to, if you're like, oh, but what about this layer and this layer? Like, I don't really get caught in that. I just start with the basic idea. And then if I find myself in the mood to add a few more layers when I get to this spot, then I go for it because I always have paper left over. It's such an efficient use of your paper that you will always have a little bit of paper left. And so now, granted, it can get overwhelming because you're like, well, what about this or this, because you can keep going with those layers, really. But I do love getting to this spot and then just kind of taking a look at it and seeing if there's anything else I want to add. And so I do think I'm going to pull in this solid. I need a little bit of this red. And I thought about using the red plaid, but on my layout specifically, it just felt like it was not quite hitting the spot for these pictures. So I think I need more of a solid, not such a big, bold pattern on it. So I'm going to add that. Linda, you look like you're adding a few more burlaps. Look at you.
I am using this little corner of the template that you put in there.
That's
little empty space. And we're going to do this around the picture.
I'm going to use that little corner too. Now that you just mentioned it, I'm going to cut it out of this red. And then I'm going to take the tag And I want to cut that out too, and I think I'll add it for a little bit of a, again, just that decorative to fill in this spot that the placemat so beautifully did here.
And each placemat is so unique in itself. There, like I said, there's 4 different ones. Of course, every once in a while they'll throw a placemat in their monthly kit, and that's awesome too. But you can still get the placemats. There's 4, right?
Standard ones, yep, 4 standard ones, yep.
Yep, and just create off of just those 4 placemats. It's a wonder how they work, but it's a lot of fun with just 4 templates.
Yeah,
The photo mats and the photo templates, so those are really awesome, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
as you see, using the 2x2s, I'm not using it as a photo, 4 photos. I'm using it as an accessory in the design. So
Right.
as soon as I get these 4 cut out, I want to show you how to trim a picture with the photo template. I'm using the 3.5 by 3.5 mini photo. This is my daughter and myself at the Mall of America. Well, no, this was the outlet, wasn't it? I think so. Anyway, we're
One or
shopping.
the other.
She's announced she's pregnant, so guess what? Nana and Papa are going shopping for baby. So we're gonna lay the template. I'm gonna hold it up so you can see. Like I said, it's very opaque. You can kind of see through. Are we getting it? Yep, you can see through where to make your marks. Now, I've been using this one. It's a Uniball Vision Needle black pen. It's a micro. It's waterproof and fade proof. So, because a pencil does not write on my photos. Mine are glossy. So then all I'm going to do is, and this does not leave a mark on the templates, just like the Kuru Toga. You would not believe how many pens and how many pencils I went through to find something that did not leave a mark at all on my template.
There
And
you
this one
learn from it.
does.
Yes,
There's nothing more frustrating than getting something on my picture and I have to print another one.
right, right.
Or lay set with the template and using baby wipes and cleaning off the
Right.
marks on-
And then all you got to do is cut it out. How simple is that? And now not everyone does, but I love to ink my pictures. Like I said, I use glossy photos, and sometimes the gloss is just a little too harsh. But by putting the ink all the way around the picture, the same one that I use on the accessories and everything else, it just kind of softens it up.
Yeah. And again, I think that's what's lovely is scrapbooking side by side with another scrapbooker. You could see the same tools, same supplies, maybe just a slight different approach. But this is where it really just shows the expansion of the process as a whole, the method as you play to create, where you can really still, I guess, flex those muscles, so to speak, with what works for you and, you know, what techniques that you want to incorporate or products that you want to play friendly with the other products. And it all gives you a place and a framework to work inside of, which results in some finished pages. Let's finish some pages and add those to our albums. But more
Also,
too.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and it's not just finishing pages, it's also immersing into the scrapbooking. When you sit down to scrapbook, we want to actually scrapbook, right? Like we actually want to have that moment of creative expression and reflection and accomplishment. So there's a lot to be had there too.
So I was going to say in inking, I know some people at the stay in place have come and they're a little afraid of the inking process. They don't know how to do it. And some of them, they get real wide with it, you know, they'll ink it all over. But for me, I have found just a little flick on the top. I never run my dauber like this because it actually cuts the fibers of the dauber. The other thing is when you turn over, you will not see ink on the back side. So if you go like this, you're going to get ink on it. You lay it down, guess what? You're going to have ink everywhere. So just a little flick right on the top, and it'll give you a nice little edge, a little distressed edge. And I'm using the Vintage Photo it's a Distress by Tim Holtz. But I use other colors too. I've used Hickory Smoke. I love the new scorched timber. Have you tried that yet, Susan? The new
No.
one?
I have not. No.
It's not black, it's not brown, it's not green, but it's kind of all three together. It's unique. I can't explain. So, well, I'll have to send you one because it's an amazing ink that he came up with. So,
Awesome.
and I just like to kind of dry them a little bit. There we go.
Well, I was also going to mention, Stacy had a comment that Susan will be joining us at our Scrap Mania Weekend Hotel Crop on October 17th through 20th. Here
Nice.
located in Cedar Rapids. And she just has an invitation for people to join if they can, be lots of fun. She added the price is $115 and up depending on the dates and your table size and all that. You can just contact her with questions 319-721-7300.
And we have an airport right here in Cedar Rapids. And of course,
If you have Kiwi, you don't need all that
No.
stuff to carry. Right?
No, we don't. You gotta check as your scissors. Yeah.
so yes, we're so looking forward to it. Susan, you don't know how thrilled we are that you're giving of your time to come and crop with us. It's a no frills crop, so you don't have to worry about all the little extras that most big crops do. She's got a big one in November she's doing, but this is just us taking time with each other, teaching what we've learned and learning from all of you guys. I learn a lot by watching you guys on your posts. I appreciate when you post in the community or on Facebook. It thrills my heart and it gives me inspiration each time you guys do that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, who doesn't love a good crop? And hanging out with scrapbookers is like the best. Scrapbookers are the best. They are the best people in the world. I love them.
And there's a good Mexican restaurant attached right to the hotel. So-
And Mary
Okay, now you made me hungry. I'm hungry.
Schneider,
Oh, no, what?
Mary Schneider said that said me and a couple of friends are going to try to come.
Awesome, Mary. Do you know, Mary, when we went to that convention in the Carolinas, the first time I met you in person? Well, in Charlotte, okay. I'm terrible at directions. But when I got there, on the way there, I'm like, Lee, I really want to meet Mary. I love Susan, but I really want to meet Mary because the way she scrapbooks, guys, if you want to watch a beautiful scrapbooker, go watch Mary Schneider. She is fantastic. She uses other elements above even more than what I do. I've seen her use lace and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, so when I met her, it was like, it's like a celebrity. I love her scrapbooking. I love her personality. Mary is the best. So if she's coming, I highly recommend. With Susan and Mary here, it's going to be a fantastic crop. So sorry, I had to plug that in. I love her.
Love it. It's gonna be fun.
Yes.
It's crazy to think of October. So crazy.
I
But
know.
before we know it, it sure will.
Your favorite time of the year, though.
Oh, I do love October. I do.
Hopefully our leaves will be changing and not changed.
Oh.
I'd like to get the leaves first before we start talking about changing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we're heading to Bonita Springs, we hope, for the winter. Oh, I gotta put my little doohickeys on here, corners. Almost messed that up. Okay, a little glue. And the harder you squeeze the glue bottle as well as the glue press, it'll come out faster.
All right, so I only have one little piece. I added another flower over here. Like I said, I just kind of balanced it. And then I was looking at my page and just trying to decide what am I going to cut that out of? I took the red, moved it over to my right side. And then I realized I didn't really have anything on this right side out of this pattern that I cut out of this placemat. So again, it was kind of like, reducing some decisions. And then that helps make some of those choices for you. Again, I do know that picking what patterns is kind of a process you just kind of get comfortable with. And over time, you learn your style, and your style is going to be different than somebody else's per se, like what you choose as far as what patterns and colors work for you. If as long as you're having fun and enjoying the process, and these little things you can kind of tweak as you go. I'll be honest, if you look at some of my pages in I did book number 1, for example, I kind of evolved as I went along, and most of it was around paper picking, and that just kind of evolves. But we hope that those guidelines that we share are helpful, but ultimately you can find your style in that framework as well. So
One thing, Susan, we forgot.
oh
We need to tell them about doodling and the
yes.
pens.
Well, I mean, it's so basic. I love anything basic that's like just a simple little thing you can do. But we're talking about some supplies that we commonly use, like outside of course, just learning about the Play-to-Create system. If you're new to Kiwi Lane or just scrapbooking along with us and being inspired today, a lot of these supplies, these basic supplies that we use, again, you can get from Scrapmania. They do have them in stock, whether that's the adhesive, the ink, the scissors, you know, some pencils, the paper, which is so adorable. I'm really loving this layout. It's so cute. But then of course these doodling is such a great go-to. And Linda has shared and introduced. I've always been hesitant on trying other pens because I'll be honest, I've tried so many different ones, and like half of the time I use a pen and it just doesn't even work. I like throw it away. I'm like, what in the world? But yeah, Mary, you said Mary's name, now she's stuck in my head. Love you, Mary, if you're watching. But Linda has, you know, shared these pens with me, just like she shared the pencil, and she shared things with me, which I, again, just is so true about scrapbookers, such a sharing heart. I love it. So yes, Linda, share with us some of these pens that you have used and loved that you can also, that we got from Scrapmania.
I will do that. Now, I'm usually crooked, so I need to move a picture here before I finish doodling here, or before I start doodling. I don't know, do you ever have that trouble that your eyes, you think it's straight, then you look at it again and it's like, that's not straight.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That looks better. All right. So at the store, she has gold, silver, black, red, and blue on these Uniball Signals, and these are the broad lined ones, okay? Then she came out, well, I should go with these. There's these two. They're called La Pens by Marvy, the same ones that do the crimpers that I use. And these are super fine. So if you want a very tiny line, the La Pens are the ones to get. Then she got these Deco Gels by Karin, and there's 3 types. There's metallic, there's Milky Way, and Star Spark. So metallic, it says what it is, it's metallic. The Milky Way is a very creamy pen, and then the Star Sparks has a little bit of glitter. It's not over the top, it's just a little bit. So I'm going to show you here real quick with the Milky Way. Make sure I got my full one. And so I decided not to map these pictures, but I do want to accent them. I thought about go ahead and putting more burlap on it, but there's a lot of burlap going on. So what I'm going to do, instead of matting, I'm just going to take a long line of my Milky Way white. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And what's really nice about this pen is if you stop and go again, it blends in. It does not make a glob, or it doesn't look like, well, I started there. It continues right on. And then I'm just going to do a dot and a dot. And then I'm going to do a small line. And then I'm going to do it on the top of this one. I'm going to do a long line. I'll do a dot and a dot. I'm going to go back over that again. If you hold it up straight, that's the best thing. Sometimes I get a little lazy. And then there. So that's going to give me a little bit of an accent around the picture. Let's do a little bit down here. Okay. And then let's do a little bit on top. We'll just do a little bit. And that's acting as my border. Not, I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll hold it up. But it takes the place of using more paper and having more bulk. It just gives it a little accent. So then what I like to do is we'll use the broad line. And we're going to go around this piece here. And I'm going to do a line with the broad, a dot and a dot, a little line, dot and a dot. And you can do different patterns. Sometimes I just find myself, there's just some that I like and I know that work and I just stick with them. But don't be afraid to experiment. My mom used to doodle all the time. I even found a couple of her doodle sheets that she did, and it's so relaxing. And this is kind of the finishing of my page. So there we go. There's the broad, medium tip.
Cute.
Now we're going to do the fine one, okay? I'm going to use the brown. There really isn't any brown in here except for my burlap, but I can use it. So I'm going to go around and and you're going to see the difference in the stitch, the line. And I'm just going to do a regular stitching line all the way around. The Le Pen writes more like I used to call them the old flares, Papermate, like a actual like a Marvy marker. What do they call that? Oh, the ones I used to use years ago. I have a box full of them. Anyway, it's like a felt pen. There we go. Oh, it hurt my brain even to try to think it. So, and then we're just going to go around with the brown. And it gives a little extra color to it. And it doesn't, if I would have used black, it would just been a lot of black. Or this will break it up just a little bit and give you another edge. And don't worry about being perfect. I'll show you the difference. So a little finer and a little broader. And you can do it on different pieces of the page. I like to pick out the pieces that I want to stand out. Like this is going to be my journal block. So I want to go ahead and make sure that is well seen. Now I'm going to do one more step here. I have vellum. I have a thin one and I have a thicker one. I'm going to use the thinner one. I'm just going to do one of these to show you. But I'm going to make them butterflies fly off the paper. I'm going to trace one. And I find that holding the templates, the smaller ones like that, I use 2 fingers. And I will move the finger to trace where I need to. But those 2 fingers keep it really steady, and just by lifting one out of the way, such an easy task to cut it out.
Love it.
Okay. Now there is also another trick with these scissors. If you're cutting foil or if you're cutting something like this, there's little teeth on these scissors and they actually will leave a mark. Now mine are getting kind of worn, so it's not so bad, but the new ones, they'll leave little teeth marks. Sometimes it's kind of cool to see that. But if you don't want those teeth marks, you just turn the scissors over and continue cutting as normal. Okay, we're going to cut this out. Turn your paper, not your scissors, and keep your scissors up straight as much as you can, and you'll find your cutting is much easier. I hear Cooper panting behind me. He's the mascot. He's a black lab, and he shops with you. He's a sweetheart. Best dog I've ever seen.
Kelly says vellum was my worst nightmare.
Oh, why, Kelly? It's so easy. Just so easy.
I think vellum has a place. I think that if you try to use it in big batches, but if from a detail point, like Linda's using, vellum actually, it's more from that point. I remember, when vellum was one of those main staples of scrapbooking, right? But
Yeah.
you always try to do it where you're printing on it and doing it. And it was a little bit of a nightmare when you use it from that technique point. but I find that I enjoy vellum the most in little details, like a eye or a top layer or something where you want to soften the edges. Vellum really does that nicely.
Now I'm going to fold it in half just a little bit. I'm not just giving it a little crease. I don't want to crease it all the way, but just a little. I'm going to take my liquid glue. Just run it along the body. And we'll pick this little guy up here. And put it right over top.
Said it's good for making ghosts.
Making ghosts. Yes, it is very good for making ghosts.
Absolutely.
And if you notice, I kind of tilted it off center a little bit. That way I can see the body underneath. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit. And these are great. Susan talked about them early, enamel dots. So I'm going to take a couple of these little enamel. This is from the collection, the Farmhouse Summer. And I'm just going to peel a couple off here. I'm going to use the middle one, middle size here. I'm going to put that on his head. And then we'll do the tiny ones. I know I had my scissor or my tweezers.
Gwendolyn Jack says hi.
Hi, Gwen.
And Susan. Another friend from North Carolina.
Well, you're doing those enamels, I'll flip it over. So while
Okay.
I'm listening to you doodle, I was like, you know what? I really wish I had like a little mat that I could add that basic doodling around. So I'm just using the white pen and I added like this, you know, I took the Carta Bella solids that go with this kit of paper that we're using. And I just added a larger frame here so that I could add a texture. Well, not texture, but a little bit of dimension, so to speak, with these with just a basic sheet of paper and you're doodling. It looks like very time consuming. It looks like you just elevated the page, but that's what I love about doodling is that it's such a simple technique. And it's not, you know, maybe it's just a matter of finding again the right type of pen. And I will say it was like smooth. It was so smooth. This one white pen that Linda shared with us. It's really great that again we got from Scrapmania. And I was able to just kind of add just some white little doodling and it looks really cute. I mean, I would love stitching sometimes on pages, but it is time consuming and you could kind of get that same effect with just a little bit of doodling. I also added it just around this flower. So I'd love to look for some of those solid patterns where doodling will stand out a little bit more. And that kind of helps me decide, well, what can I doodle on? I look for the colors where maybe white would stand out nice and have like a nice contrast, or more of those solid colors or blender patterns where it doesn't get lost in the pattern itself. And so yeah, so that inspired me. See, look at just what you were doing, Linda. I was like, what if I did this?
I love it. I love it. And remember I told you could use any tool you had. I got rid of most of my punches because I can't take them on board the coach because of the weight. But I did keep this one. This one is really cool if I can get it to punch. Oh, the big hard one. This paper is real thick. It's just white cardstock. Nope. I use my foot.
Oh no. That's dedication right there, guys.
He's just not wanting to go.
Ooh.
Nope. Too thick a paper. You want to try it, Lee?
You want to try it, Lee? It's like opening a jar. The jar. You're just like, I can't do it. Oh.
It's a family affair. But I love textures. Oops. I love textures. And Kiwi Lane really does make it easy to get those textures. So my idea on these is I'm going to make each butterfly wings a little different, using the enamel dots of different colors. I'm going to put my title here. I'm going to put a date here, and my journal.
Yeah.
So
And I will say from the texture point, what happens is actually when you're getting to what's really happening is that you're getting to this phase of your layout and you see opportunities to place these things that maybe, otherwise feel floating on your page or something like that. It really gives it somewhere to ground a lot of those supplies. So it's not that even that it's like easier, it's just, it has a framework to work inside of, which then kind of allows places, all those little things that if you enjoy them, like Linda is using on her page, it almost creates a space for you to place those things on your page. So I do agree. And
It is,
on top of that, it feels easier, right? It feels
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I got too thick a cardstock. It won't work. So I got that thicker vellum. Let's try that.
Okay.
That'll work. Just get it down. Maybe it's the punch.
It's a goner. It's had its day. Well, and that just proves
Yeah.
again complexity of some of those things. They don't like to behave all the time. But
right.
they
There it
look
goes.
so cute. Oh, that is a cute punch. It's worth it. I love it.
Well, Susan, how are you doing on yours? I want to see.
I'm good. So let's see your page. Yours is there. Mine is there. Here, I'll put it side by side again. So I will say, again, just that versatile style. What we used is we used Nature Walk. We used photo sets and we used placemats as that designing tool to help us to kickstart our page and to, again, first design it, which is that visual aid to help you to kind of build a game plan, so to speak. And then once you get that ball rolling, it's a simple process from there: design, trace, cut, ink, replace, and all of the little goodies that come in between that. So, which Mary shared a lot of things that, of course, are so fun, like the adhesives that you can get from Scrapmania. But really, those designer templates, paper, some basic tools. I just use this one pen, which I will say I really love, Linda. It's a
That's
it's a
Stacy's favorite one. She
Yeah.
loves the glitter ball.
it's
I'm
thick
liking
enough.
the Milky Way.
Yeah. So this
So-
one can get from Scrapmania as well as I didn't use the liquid adhesive, but I'm telling you guys, it's worth it. It's worth it. But I didn't have anything that needed liquid adhesive. Oh, actually my buttons. What am I thinking? I'm gonna have to adhere those down with some liquid adhesive.
Oh, and don't forget to I will post the link for the coupon code and all that after we're done here. I'll go back and post it in the comment because we can't get it from our phone to the computer yet. So
I think I got it onto the comment, but maybe we'll follow up. Let us know in the comments if you guys need it. But yes, if you want, you can order these supplies if you don't have any, or if you're like, oh, I need that adhesive, or maybe you ran out, right? Which definitely connect with Scrapmania on that. And then yes, make sure to check out that coupon we threw in the comments, you guys. And that will get you with the purchase if you don't have Nature Walk, which we were spotlighting today for today's event, and placemat number 1. You'll get a free Nature Walk sketchbook. Use the coupon again in that comments that we pinned there. So definitely make sure to check that out. Anything else, Linda?
I think that's it. Susan, thank you for joining me today. And we can't wait to see you in October. I'm sure I will see you again soon. And yes, most definitely Stacy at Scrapmania for letting us come here. She's got it up on the big screen here in the store so people walking by can see what's going on. But we appreciate you so much, Susan, and your product, your personality, everything. You are blessed and we are blessed by having you in our lives. So thank you.
Back at you. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thanks for coming along and scrapbooking with us. And if you finished a page of your own, please make sure to share it with us so we can celebrate that finished page with you. And Linda and I will also do the same. We'll take a picture and share it with you guys so you can see it closer. All right.
You got it.
Take care.
Happy
Bye, guys.
scrapping.